Hi guys, Billy back, and this time we are going to be doing a quick unboxing and review of Supermadtoys Catwoman figure. Now I bought Supermadtoys Scream Face figure, and you can see my video on my channel of what I felt about that piece of shit, but I managed to get it to a good place where it was an okay figure. I was a bit nervous then about ordering this, and I didn't order it for quite a while, but KGHobbies.com had one available, and I emailed them and they said, we've got one available, would you like to buy it? And I said yes please. So I think they had a cancelled pre-order, and so I got it through a cancelled pre-order really, which was quite lucky. And the reason I got it really was to compare it to the ACPLAYS Catwoman, which I've already done a review on this channel of. So if you go back 2 or 3 videos, you should be able to see the ACPLAYS review on my channel. Okay, let's just quickly unbox this and see what we've got. Very simple black box, very similar to Scream Face's box. It's just a normal plain black box, whereas Scream Face's was white, but that doesn't really matter. And it's just got like a postcard on the front, just sort of glued to the front, with Supermadtoys in a very generic typeface, and just a bit of the head. I believe that's, yeah, just cat custom made action figure. Now Supermadtoys aren't a very big company. I think they do a very limited run, and I think there was only about 200 made of this. I'm not 100% certain exactly on the numbers, but I've read that they only did about 200 of these, give or take a couple of figures. So there aren't many of these around, and when I saw the preview pictures of what it should look like, there were some good points and bad points, very similar to the ACPLAYS. There's good points and bad points, so I decided to get both, mix them together maybe in amalgamation, and see if we can't get one really good Catwoman figure out of the two. On the side it's blank, on the back it's blank, top is blank, and bottom is blank. But there is a really nice little touch that I was really surprised by Supermadtoys for doing, and that was a little sticker just here. See if I can get it out for you. There is a little sticker here just sealing the box, and it's actually of the cat logo from the actual movie, which was, I think it was Shrek Industries, with, yeah, it was Shrek Industries, and that was their logo. It was sort of an amalgamation of a cat mixed with a bit of Mickey Mouse, and you know, it was having a bit of a dig at, you know, big corporations and stuff. So that's a really nice touch. I did not expect that, and that's actually a lot more than I expected after getting the Scream Face figure. So, okay, we've got very similar to Scream Face, we've got a slide out box here. And here's the figure. I'm going to lean it up like that, because sometimes when you stand these up, something falls out and it causes all sorts of problems. Initially having a look at it, oh yeah, you do get that new figure smell from it, which is nice. And there's some interesting parts to this that I've just seen. Okay, first issue I've got is that the head sculpt is very tight around the neck to this part here. I'm going to have to try and warm it up with a hairdryer and see if I can't get it on. There's also a couple of bits of extra plastic on the head knob, I think you call it, the head joint here. Just a little bit knobby, it doesn't really work. I'm going to have to probably sand that down or trim it off. Okay, and here she is straight out of the box. Now I've put her in some semblance of a pose. It's not a great one, obviously. I just get her out, move it about a little bit to see what the body is like, and then I put it on a stand. You don't get a stand with it, so I have just used one of my Dark Knight Stony stands that was custom made by Stony Stand himself. Go on Facebook to check him out. He does amazing acrylic stands. Straight out of the bat, I can see there are pluses and minuses to this figure already. Some of the pluses are that the actual head finally managed to get up. I just managed to warm it up with a hairdryer, put it on, and it seems to sit reasonably further down than the original prototype did, because the original prototype one, it had a head on it, but it had a super long neck. It had a really giraffe-y looking neck, so I'm glad I've been able to push that down far enough so it's not as obvious that the neck is really long. The fabric on the clothing is like a PVC style. It's actually quite nice. Fairly thick, but not too thick, so that there's absolutely no movement in it. One of the main problems I've got with it is the creases and the riding up and things like that. It's a bit difficult, as you can see, around the neck. I've moved it around, fuxed it and pulled it down and tried to get it but when you put the neck on, you're going to have to try and get that material back up into the neck area, because the actual material itself is pushing down and it's causing some creasing all the way around the top shoulders and chest area. So I'm going to try and refutz that at some point. As I'm going along, you can see in the head sculpt, it's, yeah, do you know what? I think I'm getting more of a Scarlet Witch vibe in a Catwoman costume than I am actually Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm going to pull it forward and we'll have a really good look at it, but as you can see, I suppose there's a little bit of Michelle Pfeiffer in there, but it's a rather thin face. At least the skin complexion is nice and pale. The lips are quite red and the eyes are blue, but it's not 100%, and that nose is very, very thin and a little bit more pointy. I don't know, I'm getting, what's her name? Is it Elizabeth Olsen? Don't know why. It's a bit confusing. And as you can see, if I hold it up like that, you can see there's more roughage around the neck area. It's a bit messy. If we actually come in and have a look at the head sculpt itself, they have actually improved on the prototype by actually matching the thread colours on the clothing much more to the colours of the thread on the head sculpt. Because originally the head sculpt was like a brilliant white like this, but the actual threading on the stitching on the suit was a little bit more of a cream. It was just, something wasn't right. It was a little bit more off. So I'm glad they've been able to improve that. And obviously they've got the damaged eye section there. It's got some creasing around there. Let's see if we can get that in there. As you can see, there's creasing just along, just underneath the ear, above the eye, where that stitching is. It's really quite nice. It looks separate to the skin. It looks like PVC stretched over the skin, which is good. You get some nice shadow makeup. There's not much in the way of complexion, and her expression with the eyes is rather flat. Do you know what? It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Really isn't. But then my expectations were very, very low. Okay, so if we come down to the stitching on the suit itself has a nice sort of shiny black PVC design to it. But this is where the figure wins, is in the stitching of the suit. They've actually gone and done the stitching right, which is something ACPLAYS can't claim. It's sort of the messy stitches all along there, and you can see it goes all the way along the arms, and even where it runs up the corset here and up into the chest area, there's that Y, which is exactly how it should be. I mean, you look at this and you definitely see Batman Returns Catwoman in the costume itself, which is absolutely fine. But then we come down, we can actually see that the hands here, they have two separate pieces. We've got the forearm section here and the hands, and they are separate. So the forearm section stays on the suit. Well, that's disappointing. The forearm section is actually attached. I can't seem to get it off from the suit here, which is a real shame for me anyway, because I was going to try and mix and match. But as you can see, the forearm section is attached to the suit, and then you get the separate hands. Here's a problem for you. The wrist peg here is very thick on this end. Normally they're sort of not as thick as that, and the wrist peg hole, managed to get it off, but I'll be damned if I can get it back on. I've even warmed it up with a hairdryer and it's proving very difficult with these wrist pegs. And as you can see, here's the reason you can't swap them over or anything. It's because this wrist has a certain specific peg to it, so you can't just swap the pegs out, which was what I was going to do. That's another downfall. Finally managed to get the wrist peg back on with a little bit of hairdryer work and some real fiddling around. But as you can see, this part is sort of not stuck back into the wrist properly. I'll sort that out in a little while. But yeah, that was one of the problems I encountered. You know, she comes with those two openish hands, and she also comes with a cat claw hand, scratchy pose. She comes with this slightly open hand. It looks like she gripped something in there, possibly the taser. We have a whip holding hand for her right hand, and another claw hand, scratchy claw hand for her left hand right basically. Managed to paint the metallic parts of the claws on the hands, which is a really nice detail. Another figure forgot to do that, or just didn't bother doing that. She also comes with, which is a nice touch, this taser. In the boot there is a magnet, as you can see on the back, little circular bit there, and then as you come in you just quickly pop and it just sticks to the boot really nicely there. How great is that? Boop. That was a really nice touch, and it's unfathomable to me, why would they do some really nice detail like that and then go with such a shit stock body. As you can see, comes with two whips. Oh, there's a little loop there, and it runs all the way along the bottom here, and of course there's this little bit here. I think this is the center thread, with all this has been sort of weaved around this center thread. Now you can remove that if you want, just add a tiny little blob of glue there maybe, or a little bit of acrylic black paint just to seal it off so it doesn't undo if you so wished. And that's just a nice perfect whip for her to hold. Now I would have her holding it. The hands are such a pain in the ass to do. I'm not going to do that yet. So they lose points for that because they're really putting me off swapping those hands over. But of course a really nice touch. Then she gets a second whip. It is wired so you can reshape it as you so wish, and it will stay in the shape you make. And that'll be great for more dynamic poses if she's holding a whip and you want the whip whipping around her body or flipping over her head in a certain pose. Maybe she's facing off against Hot Toys, Batman Returns, and you can have the whip in a sort of action pose like that. Facial expression doesn't fully match that kind of pose, but you know, a little bit of imagination needed. And as you can see, that the corset is real nice. It's got the lovely fine stitching with the actual mist stitching in it. Goes all the way around the back. It's got the two different seams on the back, and it's all tied up at the back here. Now you may have noticed already that the laces or all the ropes or the ties are very long on this figure. Now I think that was deliberate so that you can do it as, you know, how you want, and then you can cut the rest off, which is a nice touch. But they've left the laces on really long so that you can readjust it as you see fit and then cut them off to your own design. There's a little zip on the back here. Doesn't get in the way too much, but it is still quite large for a 1/6 scale figure. It goes all the way down into the derriere, and the stitching comes back down into the derriere, and it's reasonably quite good. Obviously the body underneath is like a rubbered torso, and that helps with the shape of the actual figure itself so that it doesn't just look like a terribly jointed figure inside a suit. Now if we come down, the stitching runs all the way down into the leg, and I've shown you taser on the boot already. And as we come forward, have a look, we can see that the boots are actually made of the same material as the rest of the suit. It's a really nice touch. And it seems to stretch down into the shoe area here. It seems to go all the way down. There's some sort of jointed part inside, and then the heel is stuck on the back here. It's a separate piece to the rest of the figure. It's a really nice idea. Foot articulation can come up, but I'll go into that now anyway. And obviously they've kept the laces really long so that you can zhuzh them up as you want and then remove the excess lace. But as I said before, I might be mixing and matching this, so I'm glad that they've kept that on because then I can move things around. Okay, in terms of articulation, we have that. It's very stiff to move this head because it's so tight to that suit. You have that much. I mean, you could turn it more, but I'm starting to think you'd start pulling the pleather around about that much without really struggling. And the head goes back about that far. Head goes about that much. Head goes about that much. Arms down the side. Shoulders can come up about that much. There is some restriction with the rubber torso body and the suit pulling on the armpits here. So we bring it down. As you saw earlier, there is like a double bend in the arms. You can bring them up about that high. You can get her into like the tragedy pose if you so wish. Who knew Catwoman was a Steps fan, eh? Now the rubber torso is restricting the body forward, it just bounces and springs back that much. It does go back a fair bit, but I don't know why you would have her there leaning back that much, unless it's like in a pose where Bane's going to break her back. Legs go up about that high. There is a double bend in the knee, the heel goes all the way back up to the butt. The legs come back about that much, and they go out to the side about that much. They're restricted by the actual suit there. One leg can go up a little bit further because the other leg can follow it. And of course you've got really nice ankle articulation really for a figure like this. That's a really nice touch. However, the joints don't feel the best, and I've been struggling to pose her around here. As you can see, I'm struggling to pose her around on the video just because it's not that great a body. However, you wouldn't in a normal situation be doing a video on this. You'd just be sitting there at a desk moving her to as you so wished. So that was it. I was dreading that review simply because of screen face. The amount of stuff I had to do to him. I had to swap the body over and do a mild repaint on the face, swap the boots over, do some weathering to the clothing, and to be honest, you wouldn't need to do a lot to this figure. If you could, and I'm not sure this is definite that you could, if you can swap the body out, you should definitely swap the body out. Yet again, Supermadtoys have gone super cheap with the body, and it's just, guys, just buy a batch of better quality bodies and then just add a little bit of extra price to the figure. People will pay it. They don't mind. They'll be very happy to pay it. Putting it with a cheap body like this really does make you look a lot worse than possibly what you really are, because you do limited edition runs, and because there's only about, say, 200 per batch or whatever, you can really focus on minor details. You did such a nice touch with the magnetic taser to the boot, but then you just effed it up with a really cheap, crappy body. Is this worth buying? It's up to you really. Hot Toys keep saying they're going to make a Catwoman Batman Returns figure, so if you can wait, just hold out. However, this is quite a nice complementary figure. I don't know, I don't think this is a must buy. I think this is something you can hold out for, and I really hope Supermadtoys are starting to improve a little bit, because it's interesting to watch someone like this who's quite new come up and start making figures, but they really should focus on a few more parts of the figure in order to bring it up to a level that we would expect as 1/6 scale enthusiasts. And if they do that, then they could easily sell out a lot quicker, and they can make more money and then sell out more figures a lot quicker and make more money. But as it is, the confidence in them just isn't there yet, and I don't think this is a must-have. This is a 5 out of 10, which is sort of middle of the road. It's okay. There's some really nice touches to it. There's some nice details. I really love the wired whip. Both whips, really. I like the fact that they've managed to paint the claws on the hand. I like the fact that they've managed to magnetize the taser to the boot. I also like the real PVC boots she's got on, and I do like the fact that they've managed to get the stitching correct. However, that head sculpt just isn't enough of Pfeiffer to warrant calling this Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. It's just a generic female figure in a Catwoman costume. So, can you live with that? Yes. If you really want one, I would suggest hunting one down, because it's got some nice details to it. But yeah, I think Supermadtoys have got to get better at this if they want to stay in the game. Other than that, that was it. That was Supermadtoys Catwoman. I'm going to do a video next on ACPLAYS and Supermadtoys standing next to each other and compare them. We're going to have a face-off and see which is better. Okay guys, I'm out of here. And now if you, yes you, not him next to you, you, no, that you, yeah, you, pointing at yourself, yes, you. No, not them, no, not them either. You, yep, that's it, yep, you can just get the fuck out of my cave. Bye bye.